The phone rang at 2:14 in the morning. I knew it was her, even though the number was unfamiliar. I knew it as surely as I knew I should never hear her voice again. "I need your help," Anna whispered, and I felt a chill run down my spine. There was fear in her voice, real, genuine, the kind that can't be faked. "Are you out of your mind?" I hissed, trying to control the tremor in my voice. "After everything that happened? After what you did? Please." Her voice cracked. "I know I have no right to ask, but I have nowhere else to go." I gripped the phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. 3 years had passed since she disappeared from my life, taking everything that mattered with her. 3 years of trying to forget her face, her scent, her betrayal. "Where are you?" I asked, already hating myself for giving in. "At the old bus station, the one on the outskirts." Her voice broke. "They're watching me, Maxim. They'll find me soon." "Who are they?" "I can't talk on the phone. Please, just come. Lone. Don't tell anyone." The call ended, leaving me in the darkness of my bedroom with my heart pounding wildly. I should have just gone back to sleep, forgotten about the call, forgotten about her again. Instead, 15 minutes later, I was driving out of the city in my worn-out Volkswagen. The wipers were struggling against the rain, which had turned into a downpour, as if nature itself was trying to stop me, warn me. The old bus station was 10 kilometers from the city, abandoned after they built the new terminal. The perfect place for a meeting if you don't want to be seen, or for a trap. I parked in the empty lot. The only source of light was a dim lamp at the entrance, flickering like in a cheap horror movie. After turning off the engine, I sat for a few seconds, listening to the drumming of rain on the car roof. What am I doing here? After everything she did to me? I stepped out into the pouring rain, instantly soaked to the skin. The glass doors of the station were ajar. Inside was darkness, broken only by occasional flashes of lightning illuminating the empty waiting hall. "Anna?" I called, entering. My voice echoed off the bare walls. No response, just raindrops pounding on the roof. "Anna!" I called louder, feeling irritation mixing with anxiety. Here, a quiet voice came from the far corner of the hall. I moved toward the sound, squinting in the darkness. Lightning flashed, momentarily illuminating her silhouette. She was sitting on a bench, hugging her knees to her chest. Wet hair clung to her pale face. Anna looked exhausted, frightened, nothing like the woman who once destroyed my life. "You came," she whispered with such relief that for a second I almost forgot how much I had hated her all these years. "What's going on, Anna?" I stopped a few steps away from her, not daring to come closer. "Why did you call?" She looked around as if afraid someone might be listening. "I found them, Maxim. I found the evidence." "Evidence of what?" "Of what I told you about 3 years ago. What you didn't believe." I felt everything tighten inside. That conversation, the last one before she disappeared, when she came to me with a crazy story about a conspiracy, about people following her, about secret documents, Anna, I said wearily, "We've been through this. You had a nervous breakdown. You needed help, not." "No." She jumped up, and I instinctively stepped back. "I'm not crazy. I never was. They made you think that. Made everyone think that." Her eyes gleamed feverishly in the dark, just like that night when she last stood in my apartment, waving some papers and screaming about how we were being watched, that we were in danger. "Okay." I raised my hands in a conciliatory gesture. "Let's say that's true. What did you find?" She unzipped her soaked jacket and pulled out a sealed plastic bag with some documents. "These are reports about Project Lazarus. They were experimenting on people, Maxim, people in comas, using their brains as computers, living processors." I sighed. It was all starting again. "And who are they?" "You know who. The company you work for, Neurotech. The experimental research department." I couldn't help but smirk. 3 years ago, I did work at Neurotech in the marketing department, an ordinary tech company developing medical equipment. Nothing sinister or secret. "Anna, listen to yourself. You're talking about a company that makes MRI machines and pacemakers. That's a cover. She stepped toward me, shoving the bag of documents into my hands. Read, and you'll understand. I took the bag, more to calm her down. In the dim light, I could only make out blurred lines of text and some graphs. Fine, I'll look, but now let's get out of here. You're soaked and freezing. Let's go to my place. You can take a hot shower and we'll discuss everything. She recoiled, looking at me suspiciously. You don't believe me. Again, I just want you to be safe. Safe? She laughed bitterly. I haven't been safe since I discovered the first file. 3 years, maximum. 3 years I've been hiding, changing names, cities. They won't stop. Suddenly, the sound of an approaching car came from outside. Headlights illuminated the station windows with yellow light. Anna flinched, her face contorted with terror. They found me. God, they found me. She rushed toward the back door of the station. Anna, wait. I ran after her. It could be anyone. No, it's them. She shouted over her shoulder. Go, hide the documents. Don't let them take them. She pushed the door and ran out into the rain. I hesitated for a second, clutching the plastic bag. Part of me wanted to just drop everything and leave, return to my normal life, which I had so painstakingly rebuilt after she disappeared. But I couldn't, not again. I ran after her into the night. The rain lashed at my face, making it hard to see. I saw Anna running toward the tree line behind the station. Anna, I shouted, stop. At that moment, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned and saw two men in dark coats approaching me from the parking lot. Their faces were hidden in shadow, but something about their movements, their purposeful stride, made me go cold. I tucked the document bag under my jacket and ran after Anna. The forest greeted me with impenetrable darkness and branches whipping my face. I ran practically blind, stumbling over roots and slipping on the wet ground. Anna, I called, but my voice drowned in the noise of rain and thunder. Suddenly, a light flashed ahead. Not a flashlight, something brighter, almost blinding. For a second, I froze, not understanding what was happening. Then I heard the train whistle, the railroad. I had completely forgotten that tracks ran beyond the forest. I ran toward the light and soon emerged from the woods. Before me stretched railway tracks, illuminated by an approaching train. And on the tracks, a few dozen meters from me, stood Anna. She was looking straight at me, her face strangely calm, almost peaceful. The train was approaching, its light growing brighter, its whistle louder. Anna, I screamed, rushing toward her. Get off the tracks. She shook her head and shouted something, but I couldn't hear over the train's noise. I ran with all my might, but the distance between us seemed endless. Suddenly, I felt a strong blow to my back. Someone pushed me, and I fell face first into the mud. Turning over, I saw one of the men in a coat looming over me. The documents, he said in a calm, almost indifferent voice. Give me the documents. I looked toward the tracks. Anna was still standing there, motionless as a statue in the blinding light of the approaching train. Anna, I cried in desperation. The man grabbed me by the jacket and yanked me up. The documents. Now, I need him in the stomach and broke free. I rushed toward the tracks, but it was too late. The train thundered past with a deafening roar, momentarily cutting me off from where Anna had been standing. When the last car disappeared in the distance, I ran across the tracks. There was no one there, just wet grass and gleaming rails. Anna, I shouted, looking around. Anna, but she had vanished. Again, as if she had never been there. I stood in the pouring rain, clutching the plastic bag of documents, feeling reality slipping away from me. What was this? Did Anna really come to me? Or was it all a figment of my imagination? Another nightmare haunting me since she disappeared from my life the first time. I slowly trudged back to the station. The men in coats were gone, as was their car. My car stood alone in the empty parking lot, quiet and wet from the rain. Sitting behind the wheel, I took out the bag of documents. In the cabin light, I could finally examine them. The first page was covered with official stamps and the Neurotech logo. The heading read, Project Lazarus, Phase 3, Strictly Confidential. Below was a list of names, and first on the list was Subject #1, Anna Sokolova. I felt the blood drain from my face. With trembling hands, I turned the page and saw a photograph of Anna lying in a hospital bed, entangled in wires and tubes. Under the photo was a date 3 years ago and a status, coma, stage 4, brain activity, anomalous. Memories flooded over me like a wave. The accident, Anna at the wheel, her car flying off the road on that rainy night, just like tonight. The hospital, doctors saying there was no chance. Me sitting by her bedside for days on end. And then what happened next? Why do I remember her coming to my home with a crazy conspiracy story? Why do I remember her disappearance, but not her funeral? I frantically flipped through the documents, brain activity graphs, reports of some experiments, and again, Anna's name. On the last page was a photograph that took my breath away. Me, sitting in some office, signing papers. Next to me, a man in a white coat with a neurotech badge. And under the photo, a caption, Consent for experimental treatment obtained from M. Bournoff, partner of subject #1. I had signed something related to Anna, something I didn't remember. The phone in my pocket vibrated, making me jump. A known number, the same one Anna had called from. I pressed answer and held the phone to my ear. Hello? My voice trembled. Axel Voronov? Asked a male voice, calm and professional. Yes, this is Dr. Klima from the neurosurgery department. We've recorded unusual brain activity in patient Sokolova. You need to come to the hospital. What? I whispered. What activity? She was trying to contact you. The voice became quieter, almost conspiratorial. Project Lazarus works. Maxim, she managed to project herself. Find you. I don't understand. Come to the hospital. Now. And bring the documents she gave you. The call ended. I sat staring at the dark bus station through the rain-soaked windshield. Anna in a coma for 3 years already, but she found a way to contact me. Or is this all part of some experiment? Or am I just going crazy? I started the car. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the steering wheel. I drove onto the empty highway leading back to the city, to the hospital, to answers. In the rearview mirror, I noticed headlights appearing out of the darkness. They were approaching quickly, too quickly. I accelerated, but the car behind didn't fall back. The rain intensified, turning the road into a blurred strip. The phone rang again. The same number. Hello? I shouted, trying to drive and keep an eye on the pursuer at the same time. Don't believe them. It was Anna's voice, weak, breaking up. Don't believe anything they say. Anna, where are you? What's happening? I'm trapped. They're using my brain, connected to the system. What system? Neural network, military AC, everything, no everything. They can't control me completely. The car behind came, so close that I could make out the silhouettes of 2 people in the cabin. Anna, I'm driving to the hospital. I'll find you. No. Her voice suddenly became louder, clearer. Not the hospital. It's a trap. They want the documents. They want to erase you like they erased your memory last time. The car behind suddenly accelerated and hit my bumper. I was thrown forward, the phone falling from my hands. Anna, I shouted, trying to maintain control of the car. Another hit, stronger than the first. A car skidded and I felt myself losing control. The world outside the window turned into a blurred vortex of lights and rain. The last thing I remember is my car breaking through the guardrail and flying down into darkness. and Anna's voice, coming from somewhere far away. Find me at the last stop where it all began. Then there was only darkness and silence. And then the phone rang at 2:14 in the morning. I knew it was her, even though the number was unfamiliar. I knew it as surely as I knew I should never hear her voice again. I need your help, Anna whispered, and it all began again.